Now let's talk about Quebec separatism. Yes, it's coming up again. It's been in the news. And the independence movement in Quebec, I mean, it's never been gone. It's only been slumbering. And the secessionists within the Bloc Québécois and Parti Québécois, they've just been biding their time and working to create the conditions for a successful independence referendum since 1995. And you look at the other parties within Quebec, whether they're liberal or whatever they might be, ADQ, soft separatists within other parties in Quebec have been doing the same thing. They've been building the conditions for a successful referendum. The separatist movement in Quebec, it's real. And the supporters of it truly want to go. And I know I've talked to lots of people, many in the West, who dismiss the movement saying Quebecers don't really want to go. They think Quebec separatists just want to use the threat of secession to squeeze more concessions from Canada. And I'm sure a few are of that sort. And while politicians in Quebec certainly shamelessly use the threat of secession for Quebec's benefit, you're making a really grave error if you think that threat isn't real. I mean, I had the opportunity to meet with some Bloc Québécois members back in the late 90s when I was leading the Alberta Independence Party at that time. And it didn't take long talking to them to realize, no, they really want a fully independent French-speaking nation and nothing less. They don't care about the fiscal costs or the challenges in leaving the Federation. They just want out. Now, the Parti Québécois is poised to win a majority in the next provincial election in Quebec. The third place party in the polls is Quebec Solidaire, which is also a separatist party. So, I mean, more than half of Quebecers support one separatist party or another. Parti Québécois leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon has now promised another referendum on independence will be held if his party takes power. If there's one thing that the separatists of Quebec learned in 1995 is that they can't pull the trigger on another referendum until they're confident they're going to win it. A referendum loss sets back independence efforts by decades, even if it's on a narrow loss like last time. Some Western independence supporters pushing for a referendum in the West would be well served to keep that in mind too. So if Plamondon is promising a referendum, it means he's confident that the independent side will win it. After decades of chasing non-French speakers from Quebec through oppressive policies coupled with antagonizing the rest of Canada to disrupt national unity, Quebec could finally have the winning conditions it sought for an independence referendum. I remember watching the Quebec referendum from afar, of course, as a young Albertan in 1995. Politicians, personalities, and legacy media all worked overtime in begging Quebec not to leave. Delegations crossed the country to wave flags in Quebec and at rallies and let Quebecers know, we didn't want them to go. We love you, Quebec. Stay with us. It was an almost humiliating sort of groveling at the feet of Quebecers. It was successful, though, as Quebecers chose to stay within Canada with a meager 1% margin. Now, as another Quebec referendum is looming, Canada's in a different place. Legacy media, they don't have that stranglehold on information anymore, and Western provinces aren't as solidly federalist as they used to be. The reaction to another referendum in Quebec can and should be much different. The West shouldn't beg Quebec to stay. We should loudly come out and encourage them to leave. We can't hold a referendum to kick Quebec out of a confederation, but we can certainly show enthusiasm for their departure. Canada's broken. It has been for a long time. The Federation's slanted in favor of the Laurentian provinces, and even then Quebec still wants to leave. The Charlottetown and Meech Lake Accords from 30 years ago, they failed to change the Constitution. The only way we can change this system is to tear a province free from it, and Quebec is right now the best poised to do so. If a referendum on independence was to be held in Alberta or Saskatchewan today, the independent side would be lucky to garner 25% support. If the same referendum was held 6 months after Quebec voted to go, though, I think Western provinces would be out the door. Once one province separates, the deal's done. There's little sense in staying within a federation that is no longer figuratively broken, but has become literally broken. Provinces will work to break free and seek their own deals and destinies. This can be a positive evolution for Canada, Quebec, all the West, all of us. It needs to be framed as such. So no, let's not decry Quebec's efforts at independence. Let's celebrate and support them. Quebec is the linchpin. And once it's pulled, Western independence will be soon to follow. So yeah, I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but vive le Québec libre.